Chevrolet Sports Update.
Game night tonight for the Buffalo Sabres. Pregame at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop as they take on Columbus. But tonight, Buffalo will be without Tage Thompson and Matthias Samuelsson. Head coach Lindy Ruff said earlier today Thompson is day-to-day and does not expect to miss much time, while Samuelsson has a lower body injury. Overall in the NHL, a very busy night. 13 other games. Some notables include at 7, Penguins host the Devils, and Ottawa's in Tampa to take on the Lightning. 8 p.m. sees the Jets hosting Carolina, and then 2 games at 10:30 to wrap up your evening. San Jose hosting Montreal, and Dallas is in Anaheim to take on the Ducks. To the Bills, not too surprising for them, but safety Micah Hyde officially announced his retirement from the NFL after 12 seasons. In Hyde's 7 seasons with the Bills, he achieved 2 second-team All-Pro nods and a Pro Bowl. Hyde did sign with the team's practice squad this year, but did not see any action. And then the Bills also reportedly have a new assistant defensive line coach. It is Jason Rabrovich. This is not Rabovich's first stint with the Bills. The Western New York native served a number of roles with the Bills from 2013 to 2016, and most recently was Green Bay's defensive line coach. And then late yesterday, Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp announced that LA will be looking to trade him this offseason. And then in college hoops, UB men are in Ohio to take on Toledo. 6:30 pregame at 7 p.m. start time. And that'll be over on our sister station, The Bet 1520. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Kickoff 2025 of the new Chevy from Paddock. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
If you wrap foil around that, just like the little bit of the base part of the banana where the fruit is, wrap foil around that top and they will last longer.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
Who needs your bananas to last longer, though?
Look, I don't want to go to the store every other day for bananas.
They're 8 cents each.
What the hell are you talking about? What is going on?
You're going to wrap them in foil?
They're better when they're just a little green. Yeah.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Too much work.
Not that much trouble, really.
Too much work.
Says the guy that's got a spreadsheet with 3,000 fantasy teams.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Did we talk on or off the air about my wife on the shopping list writing bananas-2 and what that meant?
We definitely have had this conversation. I don't know if it was on the air or off the air.
I think it was off.
My response to you then, I hope, is consistent with what I would say now. That means 2 bunches of bananas, not 2 bananas.
Would anybody not think that?
No.
Has anybody ever bought 2 bananas? I take about a weekly trip. Sometimes I go twice a week.
They're so cheap. This is your point here, but the store would have to pay you if you only got 2 bananas, I think.
I bought
like 6 cents.
I'm jumping ahead, but the second time it happened, I bought literally 2 bananas, and it was 49 cents. So 8 cents. I mean, everything's gone up since that clip is from 19 years ago. Ish.
It's that old, huh?
But 24.5 cents each. You know, maybe a little bigger, a little smaller, that adjusts that. It meant 2 bananas. I bought 2 smaller bunches of bananas, because why would any sane person
ask for 2 bananas?
You know, right?
It's a recipe or something?
She said they go bad.
Well, I definitely feel that. But, you know, I just stopped for bananas today. I don't have any foil to wrap them up. They're going to have to keep in my car, okay, without the foil for now. I'll wait until I can put them in their protective sheath when I get home.
Oh. Love a protective sheath.
Sure. But they do, yeah, they don't, you know, yeah, that's my whole thing.
Bananas 2 meant 2 bananas. Apples, I don't get a specific number. Avocados, cauliflower, doesn't say cauliflower 1. Bananas 2 meant 2 bananas.
Cauliflower's easy. Like
it's already wrapped.
Whoever is going to have a need for more than 1 head of cauliflower.
I know. That's right.
At a time.
Bad example.
Yeah. All right. Well, good.
Tomatoes.
We got that settled. Yeah.
Never a specific number. Right. Bananas. I only want 2 bananas. She's like you. I wouldn't want to waste another 80 cents on having too many bananas in the house. Maybe somebody wants one. Too bad. We only want 2 bananas on this particular shopping trip. 2. So that's what that was.
All right.
Bananas 2 means 2 bananas.
I want to say I'm surprised. by that being the outcome there.
I am too.
I've foreseen that coming.
Not to distract you, you're over there cooking up Sabres trade ideas. That's quaint.
Yeah, right. I don't know. Look, I'm just
Speaking of 19 years ago.
I'm just trying to live my life over here. Yeah, I'm just trying to do what I can. Yeah, no, I had about 15 seconds, 45 seconds maybe max, where they're like, oh, that could be something. And no, probably not. I mean, it really didn't make a ton of sense, but I don't even want to say it on the air. That's how little sense it actually made. There's Kevin Weeks posted a picture. I saw it an hour ago. I didn't realize it was of Chippewa Street. It didn't get me to. I think I saw it on my phone, and I saw a streetscape, and I don't know, it could be Nashville. I have no idea where that is. And the little Google eye emoji, which he's want to do that kind of thing on Twitter. Yeah, and that and videos or pictures of half his face where he's talking about something that's about to happen are on his signature moves. I think they're intentionally clumsy.
Are they?
I think
I would love to get that kind of credit. Whatever I do badly is on purpose.
I saw that a while ago. Didn't really think anything of it because, again, I didn't realize it was Buffalo. Got here just as we're starting the show. I saw a note from the Canucks coach, Rick Tocchet, said Quinn Hughes is going to be scratched tonight. And I went, oh, there it is. They pivoted from, I'm going to say it, they pivoted from trading for Elias Pettersson to the Sabres. They made their choice. They traded JT Miller away last week, and thanks for nothing, Canucks. Because, whatever days, weeks, months of content we could have get out of pining after Elias Pettersson is gone now.
I can't imagine how much content that would have been.
That's over. Let's see. Kevin Weeks is posting a picture of Chippewa. Quinn Hughes is scratched. That's it. Hughes for Dahlin. They pivoted. Once they decided to trade Miller, now they want to bring Dahlin in to help rescue Pettersson. Because they played World Juniors together or something. And so, okay, great. That makes sense. Oh, yeah, Hughes is nursing 12 injuries. Oh, okay. So fire's out. That was it. That was the course of, a few seconds in my life just now.
Do you want them to trade Dahlin?
Not exactly, but that would be a blockbustery, ridiculous, insane trade that I think if it's possible to win a trade trading Rasmus Dahlin, that would be it.
He signed for $11 million a year until the year 2032. So
Dahlin or Hughes?
Dahlin.
Okay. I bet Hughes is similarly compensated, I would think. He's one of the guys that is, I think, at the level we're still sort of pining away for Dahlin to reach.
Well, what are we trying to do here? You and me, at
Make
least.
up crap?
What are we? Well, no, I mean...
Not really. I'm not really trying to make up crap.
You and I run the Sabres. And we're not... don't laugh. We're not restricted.
Okay.
By, money. You and I run the Sabres. Anybody who wants to play, 803-0550. We run the Sabres. What are we doing? We can't erase the 14 years. We can't erase Jack Eichel. We can't erase everything that's already happened. We can't erase Sunday. Right? We're living right now.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing?
Something dramatic.
Let's go. I mean,
what popped into my head when those two things came together, Hughes is scratched, and there's a picture of Chippewa Street with a guy who tries to break news.
Would you trade Dahlin? Would you want to try to trade Dahlin? Would you blame him for Sunday at all? Is the captain of the team to be held accountable for when a random group of players on the ice, on the team, leaders and stars on the ice, choose to not react to the Thompson hit that way? Is that on Dahlin at all?
I would not blame him for that. No.
Okay.
I get the question. I think it's a fair question.
You would be open to trading him because you want to do something dramatic.
Because I want to do something dramatic, and I think if that scenario were real, like I just said, that is one of the few ideas that it's not realistic where you would win the trade. You're getting the better. But I like Dahlin. I'm not down on Dahlin at all. I'm not eager to move Dahlin. I'm merely pondering a scenario where these two teams have been talking for weeks or months about Pettersson or JT Miller or who knows what else, right? But I'd hope that they were talking about the kingpins that were getting moved there. And Like I alluded to, the Canucks made their choice. They're keeping Pettersson. I don't expect him to be traded out unless things go really sideways from here, which they could. I mean, he's got some digging out to do. Maybe with his teammates, certainly with the fan base. Pettersson I'm talking about. But still, I think their choice has been made. They're building around him. They kept him. He's younger. He's making big money. He's great. Okay, the other guy's over 30. What are we doing here? So you sort of re-engage. Hey, would you from Vancouver's standpoint, while getting the lesser player out of the deal, still a great player, but the lesser of the two, I think objectively that's fair. I think Hughes is a better player than Dahlin is right now. You're willing to take the hit because you think this guy can help insulate and elevate your star player, who you just unequivocally, I think, have committed to by making the move you made over the weekend. So that's where my brain went. I like my brain in this moment that it did that. I think it's probably preposterous, but I don't know, it's an idea.
Preposterous. It might be not that.
Go on.
Well, what you're saying is a reasonable analysis of the situation. So I don't have to ask. You and I, and maybe anybody listening who cares, would also want to just swing the sledgehammer. Just do something like that. We used to be a fan base, and maybe, I'm sure there are pockets of the fans who are still like, there's still a pulse and they're doing this, but that like do something. Do something, Darcy. Mm-hmm. That's how many years ago was Darcy? So many that like the Sabres have not been in the playoffs since
12 years ago.
So do something, and does it really kind of feel like they've done anything in a decade other than draft in the top 5?
Yeah, not really, no.
And, change coaches every 2 years.
We're coming up on 10 years since the Eichel draft, right? That was 2015. We're into 2025 now. So that's the O'Reilly trade.
No better of a place.
No, not at all.
They had Reinhart already in the organization. Yep. They were headed toward one of the top 2 picks, McDavid or Eichel. Ted Nolan was hanging out.
Right.
Like, they're really no better of a place now. Ruff is almost like Nolan was. It's going to end.
Yeah.
I don't think it was with the same intention.
No, me either.
But it's what it is.
I think Nolan was brought to put a smiley face on a team that was going to intentionally, like from management's perspective,
and there was a smiley face element to Ruff.
Yes.
But I think it was meant to be more than that.
Yes.
I don't think Nolan ever was for 1 second.
No, same.
So it's 10 years, and they've accomplished nothing, right. And they're kind of almost where they were then, which is really, really sad and amazing. So you'd want to do something big.
Right.
If I owned the team, I don't know why it would have taken me the last 5 years to do anything like that. If I listened to people at all, it would have been 5 years ago, if not longer, where I would have thought, you know what? We need to jazz this up.
Yeah.
And what has actually happened? I mean, they changed the roof.
Right. If it needs to be said, just so it's clear, because I know how people listen, I don't have a problem with Dahlin per se. I even answered your question in the negative. Do I blame him for Sunday afternoon in any way? Players not stepping? No, I don't. He is the captain. I think he's a very good to excellent player.
Me too.
And I'm totally fine having him be my captain and be a very good, excellent player on this team. But if I'm running the team right now and Vancouver wants him and wants to give me Quinn Hughes, then I don't have a problem with the guy to say, yeah, okay, what else do I need to do for you?
Cousins.
Yeah, do I need, I don't know, Cousins, do I need, maybe I want to do that because I'm tired of paying him $7 million for looks around this, whatever this is.
Last in the East.
So, maybe you don't even need that level of player. Maybe you need someone, more not established in the NHL yet. Whatever. It's just was a thought that popped into my head that could, it would have a certain kind of appeal. It would be a jarring trade in the league. Forget about just here with us.
Well, imagine that. Imagine the Sabres doing a thing that people cared about.
Right. Like
their own fans, the rest of the NHL, anybody. That would be news.
Yes.
If they did anything
it's hard to imagine,
that mattered,
really.
like that would be news.
Yeah.
What they did Sunday mattered in reverse.
And it's news.
Because they didn't do anything,
right.
and that became news.
Right.
And that went through the league. That's the best we can do anymore. They are favored tonight. Minus 175 at BetMGM.
By kind of a lot.
Minus 175.
I don't know what's going on there. Well, Columbus is down their two top guys.
You're down Thompson.
And Samuelson, if you want him. I mean,
do I? You tell me if I want him.
They're down more than me. Werenski's like a Norris Trophy candidate, and Marchenko that's a Thompson equivalent.
It is on the road. They are on the road.
Yeah.
You know what that can mean.
Right.
Paul is with us. Hi, Paul.
How you doing, guys? Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I just wanted to say or make a point or two about that non-response per se of that hit on Thompson the other day. You can blame the players all you want. I mean, there's probably only one guy in the ice that could have really did anything, and that was Samuelson, and he didn't. With the A on his sweater, nonetheless. But if it comes down to it, you got to look back at the Lucic hit. I'm 21 years old, guys. I have not even remembered the Sabres winning season in my life. That's kind of sad to say. But even stemming back then, it seems like they don't have that organizational culture of getting back at guys or going after somebody when your star player's hurt. It's like, look at the team like the Capitals, for example. Everyone thought they were going to fall off because, their core is old, Ovechkin's old, Carlson's old. But they have that leadership. They bring in young guys, and these guys learn how to play hockey the right way, the tough way. They go in every night and play hard, and they have that veteran leadership. And this team doesn't have any of it because you traded it all away. Eichel's gone. He won a cup. Reinhardt's gone.
Those weren't veteran leaders. You would have said the same thing when they were here.
At this day and age, they would have been veteran leaders. Now, you can't tell me if they were still here, they wouldn't be veteran leaders.
No, but you wouldn't have the same team, Paul. Like you would have probably said the same thing about the Sabres when they were here.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that your captain's 26? Downing's 26, 25.
That's not young. That's not really young.
In the grand scheme, it is though, because you have guys been in the league for 15, 20 years who could tell stories of the days when the league was hard.
I know, but they stink.
Right. What the overall point is what? Is it organizational failure to recognize and draft heart and toughness? Like, is that because you don't want to blame? Anybody on the ice could have done enough to avoid the entire 2 days. I mean, believe me, I'm grateful for the conversation, but because I'm in the talking business, despite how it sounds sometimes. But anybody on the ice could have done what was needed there. I really appreciated Paul yesterday making the point about power. I don't know about signing up for Rob Ray's boxing academy or however, Paul didn't put it that way exactly, but you know what he was getting at, right? Go ask this guy how to do this and defend yourself so that you can do it competently and not get your face caved in. I don't even need that. But power, if he has any inkling at all, what the harshest criticisms of him so far in his career are, he could have undone them with one cross-check and some gloves on the ice. It doesn't have to be like you're taking somebody to the woodshed. The linesmen are all there. The part of it that makes all of it so silly, beyond silly, is that what needed to happen could have been completely ineffectual, but from my seats in 118, he showed up. And, that's all you needed to do. And Owen Power, I'm sure he's comfortable and sleeps well. And, again, he's not a player I'm overly down on either. But I hear what gets said about him because of his style of play. And, he doesn't need to erase that for me or for anyone, and maybe not for himself. But he had an opportunity to do something about that and just, I'm good over here. And I don't know, that kind of bums me out. Like, I don't expect these guys to go on the ice hoping to please the people who hate them, okay, or are highly critical of them. But it's just another example of a guy, an important guy, a highly paid guy on your team who doesn't know the simplest of moves there, which is just show up. Just show up with your stick high and maybe your gloves off, and everyone is going, okay, that's a good job, guys. And then we move on.
And then in 2 years, when one camp is touting his, expected goal stuff and how he's actually good, they have a move. They have a card to play to the other guys.
That he has this
he just
part
doesn't
too.
do anything physically.
Right.
But what about that game against Jersey? I could have used that.
Sure. So I think that's, that's a different sort of point. That might be more in the realm of, do they even know what's being said or written about them? It might be best that they don't, but still,
I think, I don't really want to make this point right now about players when they're 22. Like, I used to make this point about Darcy, that I thought it was incumbent upon him to know what his reputation was, good and bad, in the fan base. This is like how I look at my own self. And, for a while I read everything, and then for a while I stopped reading anything. And then I'm like, you know what? It's good for me to know. Don't mute them. Read it, and just don't respond to it. Just sort of put it in your mind, put it in the back of your mind, how people think of you, and then, make that work in your own way. And so I wanted Regier to be somebody, and he probably was, but I wanted him to be somebody that listened to it. And when he said he didn't, that offended me. As a fan, how do you tell everybody you're not listening at all? I get it from a real life standpoint, but you want to be aware. And to what you're saying about Power or anybody on this team, you'd want them to be aware. But, firstly, you'd want them to have the obvious instinct in that moment,
right,
that wouldn't even come into play what they think their reputation is or anything like that. You just do it to do it because that's what you do.
Right. One of the ways you acquire that reputation, fairly or unfairly, is by doing nothing in a situation like that yesterday. Both of the two guys that I think are going to bear the brunt of it for however long it takes for the organization to help them redeem themselves are Power and Samuelson. Because those are the two, Kulik, Zucker, Thompson's on his face without his helmet on. That's one of your five. That's what is the goalie supposed to go jump somebody, for God's sake?
That would have been amazing, though.
Holy cow. It's just not, you just got to know the move. And not knowing the move I think can be a very troubling sign to the overall. If you've got two guys on the ice there that are cornerstone players, to varying degrees. That's what they've both been committed to multiple years, very early in their careers. And they demonstrated for you that they don't know the move in a moment like that. And it's a lot of things. Pathetic is one of them.
118, by the way.
I just needed I needed a number. I don't know.
Guess which game Bulldog is how well we know each other and how long we've been together. Guess which game Bulldog watch from section 118. Maybe the only one. No, there are work tickets in 118.
Yeah, there are.
118, row 22.
Yeah.
Game 4.
Game 4, Carolina. By the
4-0.
By the first intermission. Was it maybe 2-0? I don't know.
Maybe
2-0.
Something to nothing.
I'm just like, I said to my wife, I didn't tell her why I was as upset as I was. But, I don't even want to go up to the concourse to visit with you and whoever else was there. People are milling around and congregating. I don't even want to go up there. I'm so mad right now. Because in my head, I was like, these tickets were $200 a piece. And I'm at the worst playoff game. This is the worst.
This is the worst. 118. I said 118.
I know.
We have 118, row 1. I'll be there in a couple weeks.
I guess I didn't know that now.
Yeah, that's in the fold. That's in the group. 118, 1, and 2.
I think the last game I went to this year was work tickets in 118, which is why I probably had that in my head.
Few rows from the ice, down in the middle, everybody swearing the whole game around you, just yelling at players and talking about their lives.
Well, it's
completely unplugged from the game except to be mad.
Such a great scene.
Oh. 6 o'clock pregame, Sabers and, quote, Blue Jackets, who are in a playoff spot.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Nice for them.
Really one of the best stories in the league this year.
Oh, I love it. I can't get enough.
With what happened, in the late summer with Gaudreau. I mean, it's really one of those inspiring hockey stories. They just sort of came together and are having not a great year, but a good year.
Love it. So happy for the fans in Columbus, Ohio. Yeah. We will talk to Ross Tucker later on, probably close to 5 when we usually do, but he's in New Orleans, and it'll be a little bit touch and go there. Pre-game for tonight's hockey game is at 6. Paul Hamilton will join us then. Get some football in. Another pretty big name seems to have come available. And, maybe not on the Myles Garrett level. No one is. A guy in his prime, position of need, willing to throw 2-3 high draft picks at the Browns to get him. This is not that, but it's an interesting name, and it's a big one. So we'll get some football in. The Super Bowl is Sunday as we go. 803-0550. The original thing we got to, you run the Sabers. What are you doing? We're not just complaining about Sunday. We want real ideas here, and you and I should come up with a couple more. We will try. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
We know you can't.
Grinding. Finally, we're getting better at grinding. I like the aggressiveness, even that last 30 seconds. We went after him. We're getting better at grinding. We're better. I mean, we're still making some really ill-advised decisions with the puck that are costing us. But we are getting better at grinding.
Is that from today?
That was post-game from Sunday. That was he got a little more fired up about finally grinding.
Yeah, he was alive.
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah, I was trying to remember the word he was referring to or using there, and grinding was it. 'Cause I referenced that yesterday, how I thought he was, whatever. We're all guilty of inferring and guessing, and is he really mad about what happened with the reaction, and is it coming out in other ways? And I guess I was feeling around guessing that maybe that was one way it came out, because it seemed like there was a lot of frustration in the way he was referring to, we're finally figuring out how to do this thing.
Let's go, Lindy. Come on, what does he have to lose? Let's hear more. There was some real energy there. There hasn't been much energy in 50 games. Even from the very first day, just very kind of mellow, and I wasn't sure I was going to take the job, then I decided to. And he's sort of seemed like kind of a Uncle Lindy a little bit. Get your hands dirty. Well, I'm not saying he's not getting his hands dirty. I'm not saying he's not working. But outwardly, there doesn't seem to be like that much juice. Let's go. Yeah. Maybe it's probably too late, but would love to have that come across more. Just go ahead and swear at the reporters. I don't know. It doesn't feel good when you're the reporter, but go ahead.
Right.
Lindy used to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was endearing.
Yeah.
And you never had any question that he was locked in on this. And this year, I've only had that question.
I wonder. Talk about reaching and guesswork again, but maybe that's not an accident. You certainly he's talked extensively about this prior to his even taking this job. You got to change how you do it. It's just a different players are different. It's just a different time. You learn as you go and modify, your tactics and how you want to reach the team and all that sort of stuff. Okay, all that said, maybe his read on this team is if I yell at them, they're going to cry. Right? I mean, that seems like an easy thing to say after Sunday. But it could be a space on the board. They're if I'm hard on them, I have no chance because they're that frail. I mean, I don't know. I hate to think that could be it, but I don't know. Maybe.
Well, he's responsible. If that's really where he is, he's responsible for some of that. It's never the same necessarily what gets said publicly with how players are feeling privately, but don't tell me Ruff didn't come back here with some important credibility with his players. These guys, think of Dahlin. He's one of the 10 best defensemen in the league, the whole time. First overall pick, $11 million a year. He's not even sniffed a playoff game. And here comes somebody that the fans, the building's 2/3 full every night. Here comes a guy that fans are fond of and into, and here comes some energy. Here comes some Saber pride, maybe, if you will. Here comes that. And what? Here we are wondering if, he just can't feel like he can coach this team. They should have, and I would want to think did mostly buy into him. He deserved that. That would have been weird if they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And, the season goes by and they're losing 13 games in a row. He's I'm at a loss for words. I don't know. That's the job. The job is to make that work. And he had talent. He has talent. Not the most, but not the least.
Right.
So it's always both. Whose fault is it when a team is non-responsive? You can always blame the players. And what we saw Sunday was cause too. But it's the coach, too, every time. It has to be. Because it's the coach's job to prevent that, to get players into a position, into a state of mind that they believe in it. And, maybe easier said than done sometimes, but they're professionals. They're used to being. Zucker has been on. He's played for the Penguins. I mean, he's been on teams that the standard is the very highest.
Yeah.
So he's somebody you'd want to assume is going to be like hardcore when it comes to effort and, team unity, discipline, all these things. Now he's out here Sunday, that guy, a veteran, saying like, well, we won the game. That's insane to me. I mean, it's just crazy that it's like so far gone that Ruff is talking about, how dare anybody accuse the team of, not being together or whatever Sunday signified to the rest of us. And Zucker's like, we won the game. And Samuelson, it was just very confusing. And what was confusing? The only thing anybody in hockey has said since is they've never seen anything like it.
Right. The confusing thing was their reaction. That was the only confusing thing. I don't begrudge a guy not knowing exactly what happened. Samuelson, I guess, has got to say something. But again, I mean, I said it 20 times yesterday. You did not need a supercomputer to figure out what had happened there. The clues, the visual clues were everywhere for you, including the linesman chasing the guy right up to you. And you just, I'm not sure what happened. I'm confused. Wow. Tough. Just tough. Yeah, I don't know, man.
You didn't need Whopper? You're saying?
What was that?
You didn't need Whopper?
What is Whopper?
I feel like Whopper is the all-time Mount Rushmore, at least, of movie supercomputers. Whopper from War Games.
Yeah, it's not that's
not your movie.
Not in my wheelhouse at all.
I got you on War Games.
I'm aware of it. Matthew Broderick, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Dr. Stephen Falcon.
Yeah.
McKittrick.
My level of competence about this film begins and ends at Matthew Broderick. That's it. That's all I got.
No, Ali Sheedy, but
see, didn't even know that.
Didn't care about her.
Anyway,
Whopper. WOPR.
That's the okay.
DEF CON. How many times have you referred to DEF CON in your career? Many.
Come on.
DEF CON.
Really?
Jeremy's with the DEF CON.
Yeah,
Jeremy
I don't feel
is
like
the DEF CON guy.
DEF CON is really in my vernacular.
Because you always have to remember, is it go 5 to 1 or 1 to 5? What's
bad?
I
don't even know. I've never had this checklist in my head.
1 is bad. 1 is the worst.
Okay.
DEF CON 1, right?
Okay.
Is like, this is an absolute state of emergency. DEF CON 5 is, rainbows and unicorns.
They maybe have some bombs. Maybe is DEF CON 5. They probably have some.
No, it's kumbaya.
Okay.
DEF CON 5, like there's just nothing to worry about.
But then why even?
Why have it?
Yeah.
Well, you don't have 6. I mean, there's no 6. There's no DEF CON 6. 5 it's got to be a peak happiness, peace number.
I'm going to begin a quest to reset the criteria for that, I think. No. Where was I?
don't know.
Anyway. Ruff getting through to them. I don't know. Like the worst thought I had that I only said a couple of times because I didn't want to be the guy sitting in here or anywhere on a bar stool somewhere with an earshot of anyone who cares about the hockey team and loves Lindy Ruff like most people love Lindy Ruff. Lindy Ruff, smile, right? Like that's before he took this job again. Lindy Ruff, oh, right? Like that's how we feel about Lindy Ruff. I don't mean to make that sound like it's sympathy. I'm just saying, like, he's an endearing, beloved figure. And him taking this job, the way it went down, as quickly as it went down, without them talking to anybody else, it seems, in the hockey world about the job, is like, that's our guy. I was just really worried about this stink getting on him. And here we are.
Yeah, again, you were. You kept mentioning Marv.
I didn't. Yeah, right. I did not want to stay there because it's such a negative place to be. But they certainly warranted skepticism, and here we are. And it's just really depressing. That's more of an overall point. But I don't know. I don't know who can reach this group. Yeah, I'm going to start sounding like Paul.
Right.
Like good luck getting them to figure out how to play calmly with a 1-goal lead late in the game or a 3-goal lead in the middle of the game. Just there's all these things that they have been flailing around at year over year. And here comes Lindy. Lindy was charged with fixing all that, and it's not going well at all. And now, it is a little like Marv in the middle of the drought. Like, oh, here comes Marv. Oh, no. No,
not Marv.
No, don't. No, you need a hazmat suit to work there. Run. Get on a plane. Get on a helicopter. Get out of here.
Helicopter. I love even a helicopter, whatever. Just hang glider, anything, just to get up in the air, get out. Any sort of apparatus to get you airborne.
Marv, in the middle
we recommend it.
In the middle of those 3 days of news conferences, do you remember Malarkey resigns? Day 1 was Ralph introducing Marv. Day 2 was Malarkey resigning. Day 3 was Ralph trying to set the record straight and made the crack about it's Wednesday must be Brussels or whatever he said.
Oh my God!
Right in the midst of that, Brussels. Marv is running across the parking lot somewhere at One Bill's Drive with a helicopter waiting. He's like, I'm out!
Yeah. Like Nixon, and he gives it the big wave. No, that wasn't this. That was the big wave.
Right.
Here's Nixon in total disgrace. Unprecedented thing, resigning the presidency. He marches out to the helicopter. He's like, bye! Right. You've been great.
I'll see you guys at my library.
You've been great. I love you back. Just, wow. It must be Brussels. I have not thought about that in forever. That's amazing.
Did I do all right there?
I think so.
I think it was 3 days of news conferences in a row, and Ralph made that quip.
Brussels.
Wednesday, it must be Brussels.
What did that even mean? It's got to be is that a line from the theater?
It's an old line from a movie. It's a pretty. I bet if you Google if it's Wednesday, it must be Brussels.
I'm doing it.
You're going to get a result of the film it's from.
Is it going to be Ralph or is it going to be the movie first?
I think it'll be the movie first. I hope it's I don't remember the film. It's going to tell you in seconds here. I think.
I don't know. If it's Tuesday, this must be Belgium is a thing.
Oh, same theme.
Videos of if it's Wednesday, it must be Brussels.
And it's Ralph?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not Ralph.
Right.
Maybe we're a little bit off, but it's still hilarious.
All right. Well,
what day was the dinner we had with Marv where he wanted to coach? Was that before? Was that day negatives? Was that before all this happened? It had to be. He wasn't hired yet when we had that dinner with him.
Right.
And he kind of admitted it. He wanted to coach the team.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
I sat right next to him.
We had one of those locker room events. Yeah. That's right.
I sat right next to him.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, well, not at length, but
getting back into it.
Getting back on the field.
Yeah.
What country is that? What European capital is that?
I don't know.
That's the question.
I'm really upset that you did not get
Brussels.
We did not get a good result on that search.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just a great memory, though. Even if it's way wrong, I don't know. 803-0550, Sabers and Blue Jackets, pregame at 6. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
This
If, hypothetically, your wife made out a shopping list for you yesterday as you went to the store.
Okay, sure.
And it said bananas -2. What would you think that meant?
To buy 2 bananas. That she needs 2 bananas for some recipe.
She's right again. But they're so I just can't give the speech again. The aluminum foil costs more than bananas. They're so cheap. Like, I bought 2 bunches, not big, small, but like 8 bananas in total. Because you don't want to just be short on bananas. They're so cheap.
Sure, it
cost me $1.14.
I would never buy 2 bananas.
Two bananas.
It's
how do you even write that?
It's
Alex.
It's not. You always miss the point, Alex. I'm sorry to bore you with this, and the entire audience.
He's not bored.
I want the bananas to be optimally ripe. I don't want brown, spotty, mushy, crappy bananas.
Right.
So, thank you, Alex. So,
wait a minute.
like preserving them with the foil keeps them greener longer.
Foil.
So that's it. I'm just preserving them so that, like, on Wednesday, if I buy them on Sunday, by Wednesday, and I'm making my protein shake in the morning, they're still good, and they're going to believe me. The shake tastes vastly different with a very yellow, mushy banana than it does with a greener, like, barely ripe banana.
Come on. New York's #1 Kia dealer. Shop online at northtownkia.com. Mike is with us. Hello, Mike.
Hi guys, how you doing?
All right, Mike. Thanks for calling.
Sure. Thanks for picking up. Here's my. If I was running the Sabers, I would fire Kevin Adams. I never liked the hire from day one. We had a really good, talented team, and he absolutely gutted it. Now, I know maybe Terry Pegula had something to do with it, but Terry Pegula is one of the worst hockey owners I've ever seen. And then real quick, as far as Myles Garrett is concerned, I got to put that in.
You got to cram this one in here, Mike?
Sweet pivot.
We were just about to talk about him.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. He's a generational player. He's still got about 6 good years left in him. And I would do whatever it takes to get him, because if you remember back when the Bills went to the Super Bowl 4 consecutive years, one of the biggest reasons they ended up being as good as they were is they ended up with Bruce Smith. So having an edge rusher like that is absolutely paramount to put the team in the Super Bowl. And the other thing is, the 2 worst owners
in professional football
Okay.
are, without question, the Carolina Panthers owner, and you got to agree with me with that jerk, and the other one is the Cleveland Browns owner, and you got to agree with me with that one also. Have a good day.
All right.
There's no discussing it.
No negotiating here.
There's only two clearly the worst owners.
Yeah. Yeah. Now with no Daniel Snyder, those guys are probably contenders for the crown. Where to begin here?
Come on, Eichel and Reinhardt. Let's hear more about the team that was so good when Adams took over. Like that, we don't need to redo that, right? He did get rid of Marcus Johansson. Like what? What? Ristolainen? What? But okay. You know, you're a GM in pro sports. You get 5 years. You're nowhere. You're out. That's it.
And
that's what a real team would do.
He had a gun to his head on both of those trades.
I don't blame him for either one.
They both had to happen. So that circles you back to organizational failure more than it does Kevin Adams' failure, I would say. I mean, it was just a hell of a mess to inherit. So, there's that. And that's not to defend the job he's done since. I'm just saying, like, that's a weird place to start. Like, the die was cast on both of those deals before he got the job. So, and I do think ownership is largely, I mean, the whole thing with Eichel and the back and the surgery and all that stuff. And Kevin Adams made that decision on his own. I mean, come on. No, just no question. They picked a fight with him about it, and they had to trade him.
Eichel wanted to leave for the same reason that everyone else in these last however many years has. The better players have more power. This isn't going anywhere. It's Myles Garrett.
Right.
The caller mentions Myles Garrett. What's the difference?
It is.
Like, yep. I can't win here. I'm too good for this. He was right. And he got out. And he fell into the right spot. When will we be alive to see the day where the Sabres prove different? Now the cap's going to go up $20, $30 million. This team doesn't spend to this cap.
Right.
How is that good for them? How is that going to help them convince players around the league that this is the place to be? Like, it's not even a conversation.
I would pump the brakes. We'll get more into Garrett, as you alluded to, and the caller brought it up, on 6 good years or 6 great years left. I might be inclined to cut that in half, maybe give you a 4. I mean, it's all guesswork anyway, but he's at an age, yes, defensive ends are productive later into their careers and all of that, but there should be some hesitation to not only pay the freight salary-wise, but asset-wise to make that happen. This team just went through 3 years of Von Miller and got a few good regular season games out of it. That's it. So, that can happen with anybody you're going to go for. Any big game you're hunting can blow up in your face. I just wouldn't assume that Garrett is bulletproof because he has been largely so far in his career.
No, never do that. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog back after the update. This is WGR.
More of
Game night tonight for the Buffalo Sabres. They host the Columbus Blue Jackets. Pregame at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. However, the Sabres are going to be without Tage Thompson and Matthias Samuelsson. Head coach Lindy Ruff did say Thompson is day-to-day. He does not expect him to miss much time, while Samuelsson is out tonight with a lower body injury. The extent of which he will be out is unknown at this time. But a busy night in the NHL. 14 total games tonight, some of those notable. At 7, Penguins host the Devils, and Ottawa is in Tampa to take on the Lightning. 8 p.m. sees the Jets hosting Carolina, and then 2 games at 10:30 to wrap up your evening. San Jose hosts Montreal, and Dallas is in Anaheim versus the Ducks. To the Bills, not too surprising news. Safety Mike Hyde officially announced his retirement from the NFL after 12 seasons. Hyde spent 7 of those with Buffalo. And in those 7 seasons, he achieved 2 second-team All-Pro nods and a Pro Bowl. Hyde did sign with the team's practice squad this season, but did not see any action. And the Bills reportedly also have a new assistant defensive line coach. It is Jason Rabrovich. This is not Rabravich's first stint with the Bills, as the Western New York native did serve in a number of roles with the Bills from 2013 to 2016, and most recently was Green Bay's defensive line coach. And then in college hoops, UB men are in Ohio to take on Toledo. 6:30 pregame, 7 p.m. start. And that's going to be on our sister station, The Bet 1520. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Kickoff 2025 with the new Chevy from Paddock. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
On a more personal scale, a more micro form of management. What is that called?
Micromanagement.
Boom. Yes.
It's Mike Schopp.
What is your name, sir? I am Bill Buttlicker.
And the Bulldog.
Really, that's your real name? How dare you? My family built this country, by the way.
It's Mike Schopp.
The 3 words I would describe you as is aggressive, hostile, and definitely difficult.
And the Bulldog.
Well, I like the sound of your voice.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Bulldog's getting Nixon resignation day tweets. I'm honored.
What a world.
I'm touched and honored.
What a world we're living in here.
August 8th. That would be the 9th, right? The next day, August 9th, 1974. Is it dated? Who sent you that?
No, it's a story about Watergate connecting to now, and so I just a guy that I used to work at the pizza place with retweeted it. So I certainly know his name, but I don't know the name of the author of this story. But it's titled "From Watergate to Elongate."
I wouldn't read it.
And there's photos of both men making somewhat famous gestures.
That sounds like something I would absolutely never read. But the picture was the point earlier.
Yeah,
that
it's just funny.
It was so weird that he was leaving the office in disgrace.
Yeah.
And he goes out to the helicopter to get on a plane to go to California, and he's got, the wave going like, bye! He does this whole big gesture like he is, I don't know.
Triumphant.
The opposite.
Yeah.
Triumphant.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
very weird guy.
It's been great. I love you.
Thank you.
See you later.
Right.
Yeah.
You're the best. But, he should have been in handcuffs.
Just given that came up a few minutes ago, it's kind of funny to have that come across my Twitter feed. But,
yes. Yeah. Well, I'm happy to take Nixon questions.
I'll keep moving.
He did say something very poignant at his resignation speech, though.
It doesn't matter how good your quarterback is if you don't have a good offensive line.
Although that wasn't true then. He was ahead of his time. But never be petty. And something like, people who hate you don't win unless you hate them. And then you destroy yourself. He talked about his mother. I mean, I was too young. You probably watched it. But it was just like so weird. Talking about his mom, his mother. My mother was a saint. Like, people who hate you don't win unless you hate them. And then you destroy yourself. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I definitely remember
he was a disaster.
I definitely
he was a crook.
It resigned in shame. Yeah.
Is there a statute of limitations on us talking about politics? Is 50 years ago okay? Or is that too recent? Is that going to be a problem?
I don't remember anything about what he said to address the country upon announcing his resignation, but I remember him getting on that helicopter.
Oh.
Like watching that on the news. I remember seeing it.
Yeah. Okay. We have the Sabres tonight home to Columbus. Been talking about the Sabres a little bit. Actually, I was thinking, you know what? Maybe now's good. See if I can find it.
You did, yeah. We called an audible at the line of scrimmage when we started because you had that. You made quite a show. As you are wont to do.
Right.
Of getting
I do love a show.
You pulled it off the wall and started rustling the paper for the dare I say it, the reverse AFC power rankings.
Let's go. Why not? It's been more than 2 weeks.
Right.
It's been 2 weeks and an hour. Time now for reverse AFC power rankings powered by Empire Electric. Your residential neighborhood electrician. Visit EmpireElectricians.com. Okay. Well, there's been a lot of activity in these 2 weeks. Coaching changes. That's it.
Trade demands.
16.
I'm prepared to advocate for the Browns, who are in cap hell. They still have a bunch of guaranteed money to a quarterback who can't play anymore, and their best player wants to leave.
Yeah. Second overall pick, and they probably could, and I would think, I'd want to say, for their sake, they should be doing this. Just posing as a team that won't trade him, but actually, okay, this, of course we should do it.
Mm-hmm.
But until they do, I agree. I don't want to put Vegas at 16 right now. Cleveland.
A little Pete Carroll bump.
15, Pittsburgh.
Really doesn't want the Raiders at the bottom.
Well, the top. But no, I mean, Pittsburgh, are they not down pretty bad? Because Pittsburgh has, again, the affliction of being a little bit too good to move forward. Like, they still can't do it. They still can't, again, how many years in a row? 5, 6? They still can't bring themselves to facing the music and, drafting they did draft Kenny Pickett, but, kind of like accepting the reality, which is we are not a contender, and what is the point? I don't know that you'll agree at 15. It seems early, probably to you, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it's all of that has been right about them for 10 years. I don't know. Like whenever Roethlisberger, very obviously, I think to a lot of objective observers, started to really, crash land at the end of a fantastic career. They looked like a team that was treading water, and they still look like a team that's treading water. The problem is they never drown, which is kind of the point. So I don't know, man. Like I wouldn't want to be them right now, but I guess I'd want to say I can think of at least a couple of other teams I would want to be less than them. The Raiders are one of them, and there's a couple others. Not a long list.
I'm excited that Chip Kelly is back in the league. He was a crush of mine before he went to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about that. He doesn't have a quarterback, but maybe that'll be fun.
Maybe. Where are they picking?
Oh, 7th, 6th. Pittsburgh picks 21st. Enjoy that. Enjoy your guard.
I wonder how Chip Kelly feels about, I wonder if I can interest him in a Jalen Milroe.
Oh, it's 6?
Yeah.
No, you got to stop.
Yeah.
Let's bet that. Like, come on. He's not a first-round pick, right?
He's going to go in the top 10.
Compromise. I'll give you top 16, top half.
Okay.
Bet.
All right.
What? Okay.
Tools, baby. Tools. It's tool time.
Actually terrible, though.
So was Josh Allen. It's tool time.
You're right.
Yeah.
He was terrible in college. Okay. Well, what Pittsburgh. Go ahead. Figure it out.
I'm going to say Jets.
I'll go with Pittsburgh.
All right.
Kind of nowhere.
14.
You're dead to me.
What a rise for the Steelers. They were 8
These cameras
2 times ago.
This camera's going to pick up if I spit, because I think I just spit when I yelled, "You're dead to me."
If you did, we better see it in slow-mo. Okay, 14. You're on the Jets.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Fine. What's their plan? They pick 7th. The top
Can I
7...
interest them in a Jalen Milroe?
Oh. The top 7 teams in the draft, 6 are in the AFC. The only one that isn't is the Giants. And then 8 through 12 are all NFC teams. So it ends up being 6-6 of the top 12, but 6 of the first 7 AFC, then 5 NFC teams, 8 through 12, ending in Dallas. Okay, 13.
Now the Raiders?
I've waited long enough on the Raiders.
Yeah, all right.
I'll go Raiders here.
Nice for them. What a move. They've been 16 for more than a month.
It's the kind of credibility Pete Carroll gets you.
I don't care about Pete Carroll, but I think Pete Carroll gets you the good assistants. Is that the same thing?
Same, yeah. It's credibility. Yep.
12.
Tennessee.
Are they going with Levis then? Because they're not drafting a quarterback at 1. Maybe a Cousins or somebody?
Yeah, boy, I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's even less attractive if you go with Cousins. Like Levis, you still have maybe Pop plus an Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter. Cousins is just like, okay, when are you going to bench him?
Yeah. If I had to make that choice myself organizationally, I think I would try Levis another year.
You know who the rumor is?
But I think that's still going to be bad.
You know who the rumor is?
No, I don't.
Rodgers.
To Tennessee.
Yes. Remember when
Yeah.
Phillip Rivers had a house in Nashville and after he retired from the Colts, maybe Rodgers, a bunch of guys have property there? Wasn't this the thing when Rodgers was still with Green Bay? Was that Tennessee, he wanted to be there. All right. Tennessee at 12 is fine. With or without him.
I hope they do that.
I'd love that. Imagine Rodgers in that awful uniform. Just how much worse could it get for him and them?
That is absolutely what I needed to hear.
The light blue, the dark blue,
look at the smile on my face right now. Just imagining him in that Legend of Zelda garbage uniform. My God.
Any quarterback, picture him in that uniform, it's awful.
Yeah, I mean, the USFL would never wear that.
It's the worst. It's been as bad as those horrible Bills Road uniforms from the Bledsoe years, but they just keep going. It's yep, this is it.
That Bills uniform was like it wanted to be the Tennessee uniform.
Right.
Which is not good.
No.
That light blue panel.
Oh my gosh.
11.
What a disaster that was.
Who are Jaguars?
Who are some more teams?
Jaguars.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Fine.
If you could keep one of these 3 quarterbacks on your dynasty roster, and only one, I think I know who it wouldn't be, but I just bought one, and the 3 quarterbacks I inherited are Geno Smith, Trevor Lawrence, and Derek Carr. If you were to keep one, who would it be?
I guess I would still say Trevor Lawrence.
It has to be, right?
Yeah.
It can't be Carr.
No. Carr's definitely last. Geno's a little intriguing, but that's going to be over in 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
It's just not, a couple more years maybe. I feel like Lawrence could still have a career here. It just has not happened yet.
Ooh, Seattle is a fun, sneaky quarterback team in the draft. Given that?
Yeah.
At 18. How about that if I win the bet that way? 18. Or do they trade up?
I would hate you. Yes, they're going to move up 2 spots to 16. Because is that what we decided? Top half?
Top 16.
16, okay.
Everybody, nope, there's no Dolphins that forfeited their pick or anything. It's 32 this year.
All right.
Jacksonville at 11. 10.
New England. They've had their moment in the sun. They're still a bad roster.
Colts.
I was going to say Colts. Yeah. I'm a little. The roster needs a lot of work. Like, I know we talked to Mike Giardi yesterday. Covered the Patriots for years. Like, it's going to be a while, but I think they've got a quarterback that's going to be, maybe even as soon as next year, that's good enough to overcome a lot of that roster trouble they've got.
Pro Bowl quarterback right there.
Yeah, that's right. So I think I'm talking them up here. They're probably going to be the next team out of my mouth here. But Colts would be ahead of them or below. How do we do it again?
Ahead.
Thank you.
Colts at 10. 9.
New England.
No choice here.
Yeah.
By the way, you know what else the Steelers squandered this year is their Ravens' psychological dominance. And they had it through most of the season. They won the first meeting, and it was another, like, the playoff loss. Baltimore's like, how did we lose? Every game Baltimore loses, like, doesn't make sense. And then it comes down to Pittsburgh, Baltimore late in the season, kind of for the division. And then again in the playoffs, the Steelers get another chance. They get a mulligan.
Yeah.
And they're just no match. So at this point in time, my 18-16 bit is expired. Like, the Ravens crushed them twice. So you don't even have that.
Yeah.
8.
Miami.
I guess, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really put any of these other teams that are left
above.
Thank you. Above them.
What are the Dolphins?
We talked a little bit about this yesterday, didn't we? They're either, to me, going to win 4 games and McDaniel and his stupid rolled-up sweatpants are going to get fired, or they're going to win 12 games and battle the Bills for the division.
They never win 12, though.
Okay.
Right?
11.
10.
Like 10 or 11. McDaniel's like luster also. I mean, obviously the last few years is going to go down, but of like Kevin O'Connell, Matt LaFleur, McDaniel, the other two have shown they can win games with backup quarterbacks. Tua goes down, and their offense is just like, pff,
yep.
Alabama could beat us.
7.
Houston.
Love it.
Okay. Talking on ADP chasing this morning, the other guys are like, oh, Diggs will go back there. What do you think for Diggs? What kind of market? Does he just re-sign with Houston for not so much money? Would they want that? He didn't really do anything. Like, he had a floor, then Collins got hurt. Pat Corain was saying this morning, making this point, that it's not like Diggs took Collins' place at all. Like, that didn't happen. Right. And then he tore his ACL.
Got hurt, and that was it.
31 at the start of the year. Is there a market for him? There are a lot of guys, including Amari Cooper, like this. These guys were also sort of not lobbying for, but kind of making the point that Cooper should end up back in Buffalo.
Amari Cooper should end up back in Buffalo.
Yeah.
I'm not going to rule it out. I think it really depends on what else they can do and cost. If there's some modest contract out there for him and he's amenable to that, I'm open to it. But I'd like to have 3 better ideas.
Might be tough in free agency to have three better ideas.
I think so. I mean, you might have to look at trades. I don't love the idea of the person that I'm pretty sure you were alluding to at the top of the hour.
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
I don't either. I don't think you can trade for him. There's a contract issue that makes that no way, I think. But once he gets released, he'll be somebody's big idea. Washington is the team. Like this was Myles Garrett. Washington is kind of the default team for all the big names because they have tons of cap room and they have the rookie contract on their quarterback.
Now's the time to do it.
Like now is when you pounce and you go after that, and they won 12 games anyway. Yeah.
I don't know what Diggs. I bet because of the injury is in a sort of 1 year prove it kind of mode.
That's what last year was.
I might guess, yeah. But it got short-circuited by the injury. Like, I think the timing's pretty tough for him.
6.
I've forgotten all the other
It's
teams.
Denver or the Chargers, unless you want the Bengals.
No, I'll take Denver here.
I'll say the Bengals this time. I don't envy them. Higgins is gone.
Yeah.
And Chase, what are they going to really pay him? Like, they didn't. So I'll say Cincinnati. We never do above those other teams, but I don't envy that, really. They had a chance this year. Their defense was terrible, and they blew it.
I like Cincinnati here.
Okay. 5.
I'm still on Denver then.
Denver and the Chargers are the 2.
And they're both in the top 5 of this thing.
Yeah, they're both in the bottom 5.
Listen to my voice. That's incredible.
Well, it's right, though, isn't it? It doesn't feel wrong to me.
Well, I mean, it's how it's turned out here. Yeah, I mean, sure.
I'd rather be LA. I'll say Denver at 5.
Okay.
Harbaugh over Peyton, I think. Herbert over Nix, I think. And they're kind of wide open. Maybe they both are. Denver's thing is just, like you mentioned Cooper Kupp. It's just 10 guys running 20 routes a game or getting 3 targets a game. I don't know. I don't love that. They're kind of wide open. They could be a team. They could end up Higgins or something. Like something big could happen there. But Peyton is so into just – it's more than what the Bills do. Like just so many different players. We saw it. We were watching that game in Week 18 against Kansas City, seeing if the Bills are going to play them. And like literally the first 10 plays were to 10 different guys. Right. So I don't think that's great. I can't say it is after just like throughout a very successful Bills season, talking them down because they really didn't have a guy. You know, like Denver has Sutton, who's pretty good.
Yeah.
But, you know, even he doesn't get the ball all the time. He had a big drop in the Bills game, too, Sutton.
The biggest thing against the Chargers to me is that, and it doesn't have to be anything. The guy is who he is, but it just feels like you're always going to be wanting more. Where's the next step? Where's the elevation in Herbert's game? Is he one of these dudes or not? And I don't know how you can be doing anything other than leaning towards not at this point. It just sort of keeps happening the same. They never get there. So I don't know, year 2 with Harbaugh, maybe he'll unlock it and they'll figure it out. McConkey's nice. I mean, it's a nice starting point for your skill set players, but I don't know, man. The quarterback, like the longer it goes on, the more it just sort of starts to stick to the guy.
Yep. Very bad playoff result for him.
Yeah.
3, Bills.
Yes.
2, Baltimore.
Why are we just elevating Baltimore ahead of the Bills?
Lowering?
Just like that, or lowering, or I don't even care about the semantics.
Better team.
Yeah. Actually, I would argue him by quite a bit.
Better team easily, yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Great win, though. Great win. But better team.
2, I'll go Baltimore here. I can feel your rage.
Yeah.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
You see his rage? We're getting it, G? We're getting his rage? Are we close? Are we on his face? I don't watch the show.
If you can get a caption up, that was solemnly stewing. G, that's what that was.
What are you, CSNY? Was that solemnly stewing?
Solemnly stewing.
Is that a Crosby, Stills and Nash song? Has the show ever sounded?
It should be.
Has the TV show ever sounded older? Yeah. Baltimore at 2, or do you want Kansas City here?
Wrap it up!
Kansas City takes it. 803-05. What is the hot dog of the day? 803-0550. The update. Ross Tucker still to come. Pregame for Sabers Blue Jackets at 6. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog. Oh, before we leave you. Reverse AFC Power Rankings on WGR are powered by Empire Electric. Your residential neighborhood electrician. Visit empireelectricians.com.
We know you can't hear every moment
at 6, a 7 p.m. puck drop. The Sabres, though, tonight will be without Tage Thompson and Matthias Samuelsson. Head coach Lindy Ruff says Thompson is day-to-day. He does not expect him to miss much time, while Samuelsson is out with a lower body injury. However, the duration of his absence is not yet known. To the Bills, not too surprising news, but safety Micah Hyde did officially announce his retirement from the NFL after 12 seasons. In Hyde's 7th season with the Bills, he did achieve 2 second-team All-Pro nods and a Pro Bowl nod. And Hyde, he did sign with the team's practice squad earlier this year, but did not see any action. And the Bills reportedly also have a new assistant defensive line coach. It is Jason Rabrovich. This is not Rabravich's first stint with the Bills. The Western New York native did serve in a number of roles with the Bills from 2013 to 2016, and most recently has been Green Bay's defensive line coach. And then in college hoops, UB men in Ohio to take on Toledo, 6:30 pregame, 7 p.m. start, and that'll be over on our sister station, The Bet 1520. It's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Kickoff 2025 of the new Chevy from Paddock. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
If it can work under the cap, I would be all about it, because pick number 30, I mean, that is a roll of the dice on if pick number 30 is going to be an impact or not. And you have no way of knowing who's going to be there. The defensive end group could be wiped out by pick 30 because of how good those players are this year and how many needs there are at, I would say, maybe the second most important position in all of football. Yeah, if you can make it work money-wise, I would be all over Myles Garrett. To have the best defensive player in football with Superman at quarterback, that's a pretty great way to do it on both sides.
Draft analyst Matt Miller on One Bills Live today. Yeah, it's interesting to think about pick 30. The Bills have been down in that range for a few years here. Coleman last year was pick 33, but second round. And there's just always going to be a different perception of that, just a different entry point when analyzing the draft picks. Pick 32. Had they picked Coleman at 32 and it went the way it went, like first round pick, it's just so much easier to smack at it. Like Edwards-Helaire with the Chiefs was pick 32, first round. The next pick, second round, just in every way, it just sounds different. So 30 versus 33 is not very different at all. I mean, teams are looking for certain positions, and it really should be about the same caliber of player. Having said that, trade it for Myles Garrett. Well, it's almost a second round.
Right.
Like it's also that in that context.
Everything you've got is that to some extent. You got Houston's second rounder, right? So that's a little higher up.
A little.
But but not a lot. I mean, they were a playoff team, division-winning team. And then your second rounder, and then on you go. And, presumably next year's one, if you're getting to that in any sort of a Myles Garrett conversation, the Browns would be right to expect that to be somewhere between, at best, 20 and 30. Or 20 and 32. So that hurts you. I think, it makes it harder to win the race. It just depends on what kind of horses are in the race, right? If you're only with contending teams, and if none of them have some extra pick they came by from something like a Diggs trade, but with a first rounder instead of a second rounder, then, maybe you've got a leg up there. But assuming it's all contending teams and they're sort of dealing from the same deck, then, maybe you can win it if you want to. If you want to win it, you can win it. I'm just really curious to see how long it takes to unfold. The cap ramifications for Cleveland are very real. But to me, it's not unlike the Diggs thing, like the last year with the Bills. The Bills were of a mind to rip the Band-Aid off, and they did it. They didn't wait for June 1. They didn't wait to buffer it. It's you know what? We're not pitching the season here, but we got some veterans leaving already. Let's just do it all at once. Cleveland is in a different sort of holding pattern because of the situation they're in with Watson financially. But now or later, I mean, I don't know. I think it rarely ends well when your best guy publicly asks to be traded, demands to be traded, even throws some of your own GM's flowery language back at him in the statement. That just usually doesn't end well. Like, you can draw all kinds of lines in the sand and try to be difficult to work with because you don't want to cave in, and you know you're probably going to get your head beat in the trade to some extent. I mean, it just depends on what you do with the draft picks. But you're probably better off doing it sooner rather than later if you're Cleveland, in my mind. Like, if someone loves this idea enough to be eager about it, the Bills or any other contending level team that's not in the Super Bowl on Sunday that's already thinking about this stuff, I don't know, man. If I'm Cleveland, I want to get it over with.
I would probably never make this trade before the draft. I'd take it to the draft, assuming I have a few interested parties. You know, is there something I can do with this first round and then next year, like that? The reality, too, is, like, it's, you know, this is the Sabers with Jack, where you just have to take your medicine, right? I mean, if you don't, can you come out from it looking good? Maybe. But it seems like, I mean, this isn't ugly yet with Garrett. I don't know what it's like on the inside. Might be. But you don't want to fly a flag that you're going to surrender anytime your best players, you know, are done with you. Like, you don't want to be that either. So I wouldn't be in a hurry to trade him, and his value shouldn't go down. I guess, though, when you get to the draft, what is there in free agency, I guess? But when you get to the draft, that's when teams fill those holes and may not be interested as much as they were.
I'm okay waiting that long. I guess I didn't really say enough of what I was thinking. I read one piece today that suggested they wait until the summer. I guess, you know, to see if cooler heads can prevail, if they can get him in and work with him in the offseason, and like he likes something that they do enough to, you know, sort of reconsider and all that. And I'm just over here going, like, June, July. What? No, do it. Like, your chance to get a team to give you what you want and to help you right away is at the draft, like you're saying. Like, so that to me is the finish line. You don't wait any longer than that. If you do, then I think you're going down the wrong road, because you're just really pushing everything off a year. Maybe you're daring him to not show up, and maybe he takes that dare, maybe he doesn't. I don't know, but I don't have any inside information on it, but it would surprise me if it's not ugly already. Like, the GM, to me, I would feel really offended by the guy using that language that I used to compliment him a week ago in the statement demanding to be traded. Like, it's just like saying, like, dude, you're not enough. None of this is enough, and this is how bad I want out. I know this is going to bother you, so I'm going to do it. Because he could have said what he said without including that verbiage, and he chose to do it. So I think that's intentional. To me, that's a sign that it's already contentious. I don't know, what does that mean? I mean, they're sitting around conference tables right now, I suppose, at this point of the offseason, like, you know, fighting about it. But I don't think there'd be good feelings there right now at all. Like, the GM would do a really good job to not be mad about that. I'm not saying he should react by making a bad trade because the guy took a shot at him.
No, he shouldn't.
But he took a shot at him.
He definitely, I would never want to. I'd be more inclined to dig in if it happened to me. It's been many years, and I've changed a lot in how I look at sports and players and management and these kind of situations, and where I think in my earlier years I was almost always on management's side. You know, as somebody that I've always looked at the world like, I work for you. You know, I come here, I work for you. My father runs his own business, and I've always admired that, but I've never been the slightest bit inclined, and I kind of someday maybe want to be, but I've just never been somebody with that sort of foresight and confidence. You know, I'm going to find a job, and then I'm going to work for somebody. And okay, so here's an athlete and a team. Okay, well, you work for them. You're a player and a coach. Well, you play for the coach. You're in all these years, I've become a lot more liberal in thinking about, that stuff. There still is a part of me, though, where, okay, well, I appreciate the fact that you want to be traded, but you made a deal with us, you work for us, and we'll decide what happens. Like there still is that within me. I always think of the Ralph Kiner line when Ralph Kiner wanted to raise. Has the show ever sounded older? Ralph Kiner, who played in the 50s for the Pittsburgh Pirates baseball, but he wanted a raise or a trade, whatever it was. And they said no, and they said, you know what, Ralph, we can lose with you and we can lose without you.
Right.
Because they were always in last.
Right.
And that's the Browns. We can lose with you or we can lose without you, but I'm going to decide, what happens here, and I'm not doing anything that isn't good for me or us. Me, that's what I mean, us, the team. So this could, be a thing.
Well, I would expect, because of the caliber of this player, despite, I said earlier, a guy said he's got 6 great years ahead of him. Like, I don't know about that.
That'll be good. You take it.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, if you
he's played 8, right?
Right. Whoever acquires him is, I think right now, would take 3 years like he's had already. Like, I think if you're trading for this player at his age, you take 3 elite level years. Because that's what he's been. He's been elite. So I'm not talking like a drop-off at all. Like, give me 3 of those, and I'm good. Whatever happens after that, years 4 and 5 of the contract that I give him, whatever. It's in the wind. I better have won while he was still elite. I think that's what you're buying if you buy this guy. And, I don't have to be right about that. He could be great for 5 or 6 more years, like the caller suggested. I would hedge on that. I would bet against it. And I think you should have your eyes open if you're making this deal to that reality. But I think that's still worth doing. In a scenario where you're talking about the Bills doing it, if they like the idea of Gregory Rousseau on their team, I'm in a spot where I'm about to have to pay Rousseau $22 to $25 million a year. I think, like the level he's at, he's not Myles Garrett, but Myles Garrett is probably due $10 million more a year than that. So I'm paying more for that position, but I'm also I'm paying for what I'm getting. I'm getting Defensive Player of the Year caliber. And so I'm offloading Rousseau, and give me 3 great years. And that's I said the same thing when they signed Miller, and Miller was older. But 6 years, come on. You're dreaming if you think this guy is going to be any kind of a force on the back half of that deal. Give me 3. We didn't even get 3. We got 3/4 of 1 season, which is really tough. But I would expect teams to be banging down their door about this. And if they play their cards right, they should be able to get a quality starter. Again, not Garrett level starter, but Rousseau is a very nice player. Do a medium-sized contract. 2 ones, 1 this year, 1 next year, even if they're in the back half of the draft. I think you're doing all right.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, Ross Tucker coming up at around 5. We'll check in with him and see what his schedule is from Radio Row in New Orleans. Sabers pregame at 6, home to Columbus tonight. Update on the hot dog coming up. We'll be right back. This is WGR. 5 and 6 each win a pair of lawn tickets to see Luke Bryan. More on the concert in a moment. The number to call, 716-221-4WGR. That's 4947. Luke Bryan with special guests George Burge, Owen Reigling, Randall King, and DJ Rock at Darien Lake Amphitheater August 30th. Come on, you're free. August 30th. If you're not, you can rearrange. Tickets are on sale now at livenation.com.
Pretty sure I watched that dude sing the anthem in Nashville last night. Was
Luke Bryan?
Luke Bryan. There's a couple of Bryans, maybe more than that even, but I'm pretty sure that it was Luke. I think Luke Bryan sang the anthem at Nashville, the Nashville game last night.
Isn't there a Zach Bryan, too?
Yes, there is a Zach Bryan.
So is Luke Bryan Tracy Chapman?
That's Luke Combs.
Luke Combs. Okay. My daughter, who doesn't ask me many questions, recently asked me what my favorite music is to listen to. I'm like, I can get pretty yachty,
Yeah, right.
I like a range. Sometimes it's classical, sometimes it's Zeppelin, sometimes it's, although Tom Sitch, right? He's like, you're just into the ballads, so you're not really a fan.
Right. Yeah.
I have a range. And she's like, mine is Zach Bryan. My favorite musician is Zach Bryan. She said, I think I'm pretty country.
All right.
I'm into the country scene. My daughter, who's 13. Right. The hot dog of the game tonight, I don't know. It's probably got a meaning. The Thermorator. I'm sure I want to say again, I'm pretty sure there would be a point.
Yeah.
It does kind of read like they're throwing stuff, whatever they've got in the back. We've got seasoned ground beef, bacon, mushrooms, banana peppers, ham, mayonnaise, and American cheese on a hot dog tonight on at the Market on Perry in the building. And the corner market, so it's in two places. The hot dog of the game, the Thermorator.
That sounds like about 6 too many things.
I know. That's what it sound like.
I
love it.
I'm not.
Here we got a little bit more ham than we need.
I want to say something like I'm not here to judge, but I'm absolutely here to judge. Why else am I here? That's why we're here. We're here to judge.
Yeah.
And it just sounds very busy.
I don't know if I'd like it without a hot dog.
It's a very busy hot dog. Yeah.
Ground beef, bacon, mushrooms, banana peppers, ham, mayonnaise, American cheese. That's where you lose me. The American cheese is where you lose me.
Yeah.
Ross Tucker will have some time with Ross after the update. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
Call. update.
Game night tonight for the Buffalo Sabres. They're at home hosting the Columbus Blue Jackets. Pregame getting underway in an hour at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. Tonight, though, Buffalo will be without Tage Thompson and Matthias Samuelsson. And earlier today, head coach Lindy Ruff says that Thompson is day-to-day, does not expect him to miss much time, while Samuelsson, he's out with a lower body injury. However, the duration for him is not yet known. For the Bills, not too surprising news. Safety Micah Hyde officially announced his retirement from the NFL after 12 seasons. In Hyde's 7 seasons with the Bills, he did achieve 2 second-team All-Pros and a Pro Bowl. And earlier this year, Hyde did sign with the team's practice squad. However, he did not see any playtime action. And then in college hoops, UB men are in Ohio to take on Toledo. 6:30 pregame, a 7 p.m. start. And that's going to be on our sister station, the Bet 1520. It's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Kickoff 2025 of the new Chevy from Paddock. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Ross Tucker's appearance on WGR is being brought to you by Northwest Bank. For what's next, get started at northwest.com.
Welcome back. Now with us on the Western Hotline, host of the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. You can check that out on social media and him at Ross Tucker NFL. He is in New Orleans, which has either 2 or 4 syllables or maybe 3, depending on how you want to say it. Ross is with us, myfrontpagestory.com. Is Valentine's Day a good holiday for this gift, if there is a bad one?
It's legitimately the best holiday for this gift. I mean, it's so funny because my buddy, you guys know this, but my buddy started the company. The idea was with newspapers contracting that there was a need for coverage, and that for a nominal fee, you could get coverage of important youth events or business or whatever. We had no idea it was going to turn into like a Valentine's Day and Mother's Day business. It's such a funny, life lesson that you don't know what's going to happen. But it's basically the best Valentine's Day gift anybody's ever heard, because so often you just get your wife or your loved one, significant other, you just get them flowers or take them out to dinner. To be able to talk to a writer while you're driving home from work or driving to Tops or whatever, Tim Hortons, tell them how great she is, how amazing she is, or you can just fill out an email if you'd rather do that. Then these professional writers, they put a story together. They get pictures of you and her, the kids, if you have kids. Definitely no pictures of kids if you don't have kids. That would be weird. That would make the story.
Other kids.
That would really be a flaw in the story. Yeah, that would be weird. But you do have the chance to edit it. So, but no, in all sincerity, I've seen so many videos. Here's the key. Every guy listening, first of all, you would blow her mind away this year if you got a story all about how amazing she is at myfrontpagestory.com. But as she's opening it, she won't really know what it is. Just be like, honey, I wanted something special for you. So I had a story written about you. Like, that makes it sound like you commissioned some author out of your way. It sounds incredible when she reads the quotes, like, I wouldn't be who I am if it weren't for her. They cry almost every time. Then what I like about it is because it's framed and beautiful, to have it hanging up in the house. So, like, the next time you get in an argument, you're like, oh, really? Well, did you have a story written about me and how amazing I am? I don't remember that. I had a story written about you and how amazing you are. It's like, it's awesome comeback material in any argument for the rest of your life.
I really appreciate you thinking ahead like this, Ross. You get the best interest of all of us in mind.
myfrontpagestory.com. It's
all right.
You know what? There's probably a lot of Bills fans that could use one of these right about now.
Yeah. How much in your experience you're in New Orleans now? How much talk has been about the Myles Garrett news from yesterday? Like, is it swallowed the news cycle whole, or is the Super Bowl impervious to it?
That's a really good question. So most of the shows I was recording were evergreen, so I didn't mention it at all.
Right.
And then the shows I actually went on, other people's shows, I think I might have only gotten asked about it once. And the Cowboys wanted to trade Dallas radio station, Odyssey, wanted to trade Micah Parsons for Myles Garrett and a 4th-round pick, which I thought was super dumb, but I don't care if the Cowboys are good or not, so go for it.
Well, how good an idea. Like we're pouring over it here, Ross. I mean, the GM himself last week at the season-ending news conference talked about impact players on defense like Chris Jones, and those guys just don't become available. And here we are, less than a week later, a player like that, even better than that, in my opinion, is available. How much heaven and/or earth should Brandon Beane and the Bills try to move?
It's a very good question, and the answer is, I think Brandon should be really aggressive. I hadn't really thought of it, guys. And I don't know if this will offend you or you'll think it's accurate or whatever, but Greg Cosell last week, you guys know I'm a big fan.
Yep.
He comes on my show, the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, every week. And he made a point last week as we were breaking down the AFC Championship game. He said, Ross, the Bills are not really an overly talented team when you watch them. He said, who is their dominant defensive player? He said, who's their dominant skill position guy, other than Josh Allen, obviously? And I think he kind of made the point. I don't know how you guys feel or how Bills fans feel, but I guess Brandon Beane's point about Chris Jones feels like it's really hard to win without a guy like that. And I think the Bills have a collection of nice players, a collection of, I think you would say, good players.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have like a guy. They don't have a guy that you're like, holy crap, that guy.
Right.
They don't have that. And I'm not sure any of these guys are even close to being that, right? And then offensively, James Cook is good. I love Khalil Shakir, and he's underrated. And, Kincaid was a little disappointing this year. But none of those guys, I think I saw this before the Ravens game. You guys probably know. Was it that the Ravens had 6 All-Pro players, first or second team, and the Bills had 1? Josh, is that the right?
I don't
call?
remember the All-Pro breakdown. The Pro Bowl breakdown was Deion Dawkins and Josh Allen 2, and there were 9 Ravens in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And I think it might be 6 All-Pro against 1 All-Pro, and that doesn't mean you can't win the game. They did win the game; they beat the Ravens, but it does feel like a lot to overcome. It does feel like they have put together a really good team, but to beat some of these other teams, they probably need another guy or two to get over the top.
With Ross Tucker down in New Orleans, so this topic is it's there this week. For me, the Super Bowl related topic I keep seeing pop up on my screen is about the officials. And I don't know, is that kind of what you're getting to? And it's just annoying, right? Like, what are we really saying here? That the games are rigged? No, of course we're not saying that. But it just seems like we're kind of regurgitating kind of the usual, the actual conversation about refs and reffing, which is that, okay, good teams get calls, home teams, etc. We've been over this, Ross, but I'm ready for that to get buried. I'm ready to move on.
I think it's a really good point. That's my column I wrote for the 33rd team, and I tried to post it earlier, but maybe my Wi-Fi wasn't strong enough or not, so I will be posting it again shortly. I despise every aspect of that conversation. I think it's a loser's mentality. In particular, in the Bills game, they reviewed both plays, so it's like they took a second look at it. I can point out examples of calls that went against the Chiefs. The reality is, because they play in so many spotlight big games and because we're sensitive to it, we notice it, right? We notice when calls seem to go their favor, their way. And we wouldn't notice it if they lost the game as much. And that's the thing people forget is, like, if they lost the game, people just talk about the plays the other team made, like the Bills in the regular season. to win the game, they don't talk about, the officials did this or the officials did that. But because they win the game, and they're a lot of times close games, we all harp on the one or two calls that went their direction. Where I interviewed Trey Smith last night. You guys know I called that Texans game, and there was a clear as day. They called a hold on Trey Smith in that game. A D tackle for the Texans pulled him down by the back of the helmet, pulled Trey down on top of him. Nobody talks about that. Nobody focuses on that at all.
Right. Who do you like Sunday?
Who do I want to win, or who do I think is going to win?
Where's your money going? Quote money.
Yeah. So, anytime anybody asks me for my prediction, I always just say what I think is the most likely scenario, right? Because that's ultimately what your prediction is, right? Like what you think is most likely. And I think it's most likely it's a one-score game. And in a one-score game, I think it's most likely that the Chiefs win the game. The Eagles have the better overall team, top to bottom roster. But if it's a close game, what matters more? The better overall roster or the team with the first ballot Hall of Fame and first ballot head coach? And that's a lot of times what it comes down to, and what this will probably come down to, right? That's just where we're at, right or wrong. I think for the Eagles to win, they got to be up 2 scores late. I think they got to find a way to pull away and win like 34-23, or at least be up 34-23 with not a lot of time left. Because if it's a one-score game, until they show they can do it, in a one-score game, I'm thinking Andy Reid and Mahomes over Sirianni and Hurts. I don't know how you go the other way if you're being honest with yourself.
Right. I wish we could be there. It's the food mostly, and this is sort of full circle Ross Tucker because you're so into the food at these games. But it's not like the football or the work even. I don't really miss. I don't long for Radio Row, but I wish we could be there for the restaurants.
Yeah, I'm going to like a nice seafood place tonight for the Westwood One dinner. I've already eaten more than I was hoping to, and it's only going to get worse.
Right.
But it is what it is. It's funny. One story I'll relay. I let off the week for Dan Patrick, and I walked to Dan Patrick's studio, or where they're doing the show. And the first bar I walked by had a Bills flag outside, a Believe flag, and it sunk my heart.
Yeah,
it really did. Because it would just be so much fun if you guys were all down here. It would just be amazing. Like, Dream Super Bowl 1 for me is Eagles-Bills. Dream Super Bowl 2 is Lions-Bills. I don't think we got anybody's Dream Super Bowl other than probably Taylor Swift and Taylor Swift's family, because she grew up an Eagles fan and now she's dating a Chief. So, I don't know. Finally, something has gone her way.
Right. The plucky underdog story that she is. Yes.
Thanks, Ross. Enjoy yourself. I know you will.
I absolutely will. Great talking with you guys. And make sure everybody, no joke, go to myfrontpagestory.com. At least throw your email address in there. You get the 20% discount. If you want to use it for Mother's Day or anniversary or something, that's cool too. Great talking with you guys.
See you, Ross. We'll call it around the draft maybe. Ross Tucker, it's got to go. That's Super Bowl week for you.
That's how it goes. Yep.
So who do I think will win, or who do I want to win? He says, that's my line when people ask me what I think will happen in games. I usually will give a percent based on what the odds. I'm really fun at parties. 55%.
Right.
Coin flip game, whatever. But who do you want to have win? I was listening to, as I always do, the Roto World podcast, NBC, and one guy is the guy who, I mentioned him recently, Pat Doherty, who just for 2 years, if not 5, has been the guy who's like, "You really going to pick against the Chiefs? Are you sure you want to do that?" Kind of how Trista talks, and maybe Ross. You really sure you want to do that? And the other guy, Denny Carter, is more just like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure," and that's me because I've been picking or even betting against them here in the playoffs for a couple of years and haven't won yet. But then at one point on their podcast yesterday or today, Pat said to Denny, "Did you root for Utah when they played the Bulls in the NBA Finals? Were you the guy? Were you somebody rooting against the Bulls?
Sick of the Bulls.
Like, was that you?" And he said, "I have to admit, yes." Like, you rooted for the Utah Jazz to beat Jordan? And I'm listening, I'm just like riveted. Like, oh my God, that's pathetic. How could you have rooted for Utah? No. So, yes, because you want someone new, and they've never won. They've never won since either. Like, that would have been something.
Yeah.
But I was rooting for the Bulls. I wanted them to win every year. And I wasn't even a fan. I was a Knicks fan in the 90s. And I bet, like, hardcore Knicks fans were not rooting for the Bulls. Right? They might have been the fan base who was not rooting for Chicago. But when it got to the finals, and it's Seattle, as the show ever sounded older, Seattle in the NBA Finals. Phoenix with Barkley. What a great story. Barkley. Nope. Utah, Karl Malone. There was a Allen Malone comparison that I read recently. Like, that makes sense. Malone and Stockton, they've never won anything. Great players, cement the legacy, beat the Bulls. Aren't we sick of the Bulls? No. We were not sick of the Bulls.
I don't remember being sick of the Bulls. I think that one against Utah specifically, I think what I remember is being fine either way, which is pretty boring. But the Jazz, great players, they haven't won. As a Bills fan, that always speaks to me, right? If you've got a market with stars, whatever sport it is, they're great. Everyone knows they're great. They're going to the Hall of Fame, and they haven't been able to win yet. I can get behind that. Yeah, I feel a kinship with you, even if you don't feel one with me. Like sitting here with no real, skin in the game. Okay, but that is running concurrently with. I'm not a Knicks fan. I like the Celtics after the Braves left for a little while, but even that didn't get in the way. Jordan, just the excellence. I was rooting for the dynasty. That story. You usually end up in a story. That's where Malone and Stockton and the Jazz and Jerry Sloan, like, that's a good story too. But Jordan winning is a great story. So I never got to a place with them, the Bulls in the 90s, that I think a lot of people feel they're at with the Chiefs at this point. And I don't. That's probably because I don't have a team in that league. If I did, then I probably would be tired of the same team winning all the time. I
always rooted against New England in every Super Bowl they were in, even the first one. And I've got family there, and I hated it. I rooted for the St. Louis Rams, which I have no connection to, and just none. I rooted for the Rams against the Patriots. The division, maybe. I just never. It depends. It depends on whatever your particular hang-ups are, or, whatever your tastes, right? Because I think, it's a long time ago, but wouldn't most people have rooted for Chicago, the Bulls, in the Jordan years? And not everybody loved him, but he was transcendent.
Yeah.
Mahomes is transcendent. Pippen, Rodman. I loved it. And I Golden State was this for me in basketball. Give me all of it. Win every year. I love it. See how long you can go. That's a sports fan thing.
Yeah.
See how long you can make it last. That's where the Chiefs are.
And it's also a sports fan thing. I hated the Golden State thing, and I hated you getting on the bandwagon, because the whole thing felt like a bandwagon. I haven't paid attention to basketball in years. These guys are great. Shut up. That annoyed me. So I always, anything against stylistically what the Golden State Warriors were doing, but just Durant going there was like Randy Johnson going to the Yankees to me. What are you doing?
That happened later.
It's just gross. Different things, right? That changed. There's also age involved there, but it was more like the bandwagon filling up that ticked me off. I don't remember how we felt about that. It's so long ago now, but Jordan's it was always different to me. I had no trouble him coming up. I mean, we're going like 10 minutes on Jordan here.
Fine.
Coming up, the Pistons were in his way. And like they were one of the most hateable teams of all time. So that was easy. Like I can totally get this guy's the best, and like Bill Laimbeer is going to stiff arm him coming through the lane or clothesline him. Like this is gross. So they were easy to get behind, and you just sort of stayed there. He was great
because they popped as an underdog.
Yeah,
you know, and then they beat the Lakers that year too in the finals, which helped even more.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That might be a part of it. Is Kansas City that? I mean, they lost to New England the first year with Mahomes, but never again. Detroit was a couple times, maybe 3. With
three. It was 3 in a row. Well, it was 3. I don't know if it was exactly in a row, but remember I mentioned this when the Bills were getting ready to play the Chiefs a couple weeks ago. There was a comparison. 7 years in the league for Jordan, 7 years in the league for Allen, 0 for 3 against this opponent in the playoffs, 0 for 3 against this opponent in the playoffs. Here we go, it's time. Mm-hmm. So, and obviously it wasn't.
Narrator.
That didn't line up. Yeah,
it was not time.
Right. Record scratch.
I'm not all the way on Philadelphia, you know, like.
Well, that's what makes this very tough because Philadelphia, there is almost nothing I like about the city, the aura of their sports teams. It just annoys me.
It's Bobby Clark for you.
Bobby Clark. It's yeah. It's just the worst, and it feels like I'm falling into a trap. I know this isn't all the fans, but like. A certain kind of fan there really embraces the idea of them being the loudest, most obnoxious, even violent fans, and that has always been disgusting to me. So I judge the team partially through that window, and that's tough. It's tough on the team, really, but I don't like Philly at all, so I'm really stuck. In this game, I mean, really stuck because I don't want to root for the Chiefs, but the Eagles don't feel real good to me either.
I'd like it for Hurts. I like his story. He gets drafted in the second round to a team that had just recently picked Carson Wentz and won big with Wentz, and so that was scrutinized. Why did you do that? They seemed privately to think that Wentz wasn't it. And that bore itself out, and then Hurts gets in, and they win like crazy. So I don't know. It's not Jackson for me, like somebody that's getting questioned all the time, or was. I don't think the Jackson thing is really the case anymore. Shouldn't be. But Hurts, there's some of that.
I like that. My problem with that is it's another guy that's not our guy that's going to get crowned.
Well, that's a reason to root for Kansas City.
And
then.
I don't like that either. Like if ever there's been one of these years where I shouldn't bother watching the game, which I'm absolutely not. I'm absolutely going to watch the game. This is as close as I think I could get to. Like I just can't do it. I hate everything. I hate everything going on here. The Hurts story is compelling, but it ends at great. He gets the Super Bowl MVP and the trophy and all that. No. That's not going to work. That doesn't feel good for me.
Is it better for the Bills either way? Like last year, you wanted to think that Kansas City would sort of like be exhausted. We've won back-to-back. Yeah. They had that improbable playoff run, even winning in overtime in the Super Bowl. Like that's it.
Yeah.
And, here they are again. Would 3 do that?
I think it's better for the Bills if Kansas City wins. I think you feel
Kelsey signs off.
Look at them. They just can't be stopped. It's another part of the Philly thing. I can't beat them, but you did. I don't need that. I don't mean for talk show purposes. I just mean like as a fan. I don't need that. I don't need you doing something that I can't do 4 times out of 5 years. Beating them in a big game, in a playoff game, the biggest playoff game there is. Yeah, I don't need any of that. So, yeah, I mean, holy cow, how tangled up do I sound?
Well, yep, we can talk about it some more. 803-0550, I'm sure people are dying for us to do that. The Super Bowl everybody hates. Like, let's keep talking about it. Ross's thing, like, if it's close, how do you not pick Kansas City? I think Philadelphia could beat them almost like Tampa did. Just too good. Too good up front, both sides. Maybe you get what the Chiefs got against the Bills with a worthy play, even a Juju play. Doubt it. Against that team, I doubt it. And then it comes down to whether Philadelphia can score. That's Barkley. The Chiefs stopped the run. That's Barkley. But A.J. Brown, I like the Chiefs under in this game, that they struggle to score field goals. But I don't know. Like I don't care about Kareem Hunt. I don't care about Juju. It's Worthy. Kelsey, 2 catches against Buffalo. I kind of like the Philly side. I don't think it has to be a close game. 803-0550, Sabers in Columbus downtown tonight, pregame at 6. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
We know you
Night. Again, pregame at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. Buffalo, though, will be without Tage Thompson and Matthias Samuelsson. Thompson, we do know, is day today, not expected to miss much time. Samuelsson, though, who is out with a lower body injury, he is unknown for how long he will be out for the Sabers. Tonight, though, in the NHL, busy night, 14 total games. Some of the notables: at 7, Penguins host the Devils, and Ottawa's in Tampa to take on the Lightning. 8 p.m. sees the Jets hosting Carolina, and then 2 games at 10:30 to wrap up your evening. San Jose hosting Montreal, and Dallas is in Anaheim versus the Ducks. For the Bills, they have reportedly hired a new assistant defensive line coach, Jason Rabrovich. This is not Rabravich's first stint with the Bills. The Western New York native did serve in a number of roles for Buffalo from 2013 to 2016, and most recently was Green Bay's defensive line coach. And then in college hoops, UB men are in Ohio to take on Toledo. 6:30 pregame, a 7 p.m. start, and that's going to be on our sister station, the Bet 1520. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Kickoff 2025 of the new Chevy from Paddock. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
I think from a lot of those theories are things that happen in social media and they get a new life. As you say, it's not your theory, but it's out there. Nobody wants it to be their theory. And so I understand it. I think it reflects a lot of the fans' passion. And I think it also is a reminder for us how important officiating is. And I think the men and women that officiate in the NFL are outstanding. They have the highest possible standards. That's ridiculous theory for anyone who might take it seriously. But at the end of the day, it's something we always have to continue to work on. How do we make our officiating better?
Oh, that's social media. Roger Goodell. Ask me the question. I'll be Roger Goodell. Ask me the question. And anything about, like, hey, I know it's not what you said, he said to the reporter, whoever he was, or she.
Okay. Hey, you empty, soulless husk of a man in a $10,000 suit. Chris Parker, WGR Radio in Buffalo. I'm wondering if you put any credence into the idea that officiating is working toward fixing the games for the Chiefs.
I'm going to take the second part first. Please.
First part really wasn't a question. It was a statement of fact.
I'm going to take the second part. Assuming you didn't insult me with the first part in a real scenario, my answer would be, please. Next.
Okay, yeah, that works.
I mean, you could use Lindy's answer to the question about the Thompson hit.
Right.
Just like, what?
But if you protest too much, then you...
Always blame social media, though. Easy target. Always blame social media.
I agree with him.
Okay, right. I mean, there's a lot of bad.
I mean, it's not entirely, but like that's the stuff just keeps breathing. And
what you're doing when you blame social media, like nobody would put this on Goodell. What is he actually blaming? Fans
or fans who are out to try to use social media to make things viral and make it an agenda.
Yeah, fans.
Yeah, fans.
Like, it's not the Philadelphia Inquirer who's writing that the games are rigged or they favor the Chiefs, or the Buffalo News or whoever. It's not WGR, it's fans. That's what you're doing when you're blaming social media. You're blaming your fans. But he doesn't want to say that. The fans do this. Like, oh, I'm up here, you're down there. The fans do this. I would never. He's not going to say that. Social media, it's so easy. It's not specific. Everybody's sort of involved. And so it's just like such a lame tactic. Not that there isn't, merit to it, but it's just like a targetless, lame excuse of an answer. Social media, that sounds like something that would be popular on social media. Here's Joe with us. Hi, Joe.
I'll say it again. I agree with him.
Joe.
Hi, guys. This is Joe from Buffalo. How are you today?
Great.
I've just been really excited about the fact of Myles Garrett. I've said for a few years, like, it's our offense is fine as long as we got number 17 under center and we got Cook in the backfield. They'll figure it out, but we haven't had that guy to get to Mahomes in those big games. Like, And I thought Von Miller would be the answer. I was excited about that coming out, and that hasn't really panned out to what we had hoped. And I think getting somebody like Myles Garrett in here is one of the best options we would have, and I'm real excited about that idea. Been wanting that for quite a few years now, so if that's something that we could pull off, it'd be extremely exciting in Buffalo.
Okay, Joe. I mean, it might be.
I mostly agree with you. I think it undeniably would be almost terrifyingly exciting. I mean, just hold on to your butts, if they do that. It will cost a lot, and man, you just better be right. You just better get the few years. Somebody earlier called us and said, he's going to be great for 6 more years, and maybe you're right. Maybe he will be just amazing at 35. But I think the way I've approached over the years, I feel like I've maybe I dig in too hard on this. I almost cut in half everything that you do with a free agent when they're approaching 30, which is where Garrett is. He was going to be 30 late next December, like near the end of next season. I think he turns 30. Give me 3 years of some semblance of what you've been here the last few years, and that's a win for me. Even if that means there are 3 years at the end where it's like, oh, there's a drop-off. Oh, my God, he's got to go. By the 5th year, you're like, get him out of here. Maybe even by the end of year 4. It's like Miller right now. We're done. It did not work. There's a cautionary tale within Miller, but he was older and had already one really serious injury in his career. And so, you had that, you had buyer beware going in, but how did it land when that happened? I mean, we were, there wasn't time to have Mario watch because it happened out of the blue one night at 6:45. Hey, the Bills got Von Miller. Holy crap.
And he said later he had decided on the plane to say no to the Bills.
Right, but he
on
got
his way here to spurn them, and he didn't. Yeah, I was thinking about Mario Williams too earlier with this.
So, I think the opportunity to get a player. Sure. Would I rather trade for Myles Garrett 2 years earlier? Yeah. But, you don't get that. You don't get that. He's at the end of his rope now, and he's trying to push his way out of Cleveland. I'm going to need Brandon Beane, I think, to push his way to the front of the line within reason. I mean, I don't know what. There's all kinds of varying. You can come up with an overpay. You definitely don't want to walk in the door with that. If 2 1s and Greg Rousseau is too much. Then, calm down a little and recalibrate.
It's probably not, is it?
I don't think so, but I'm seeing reference to a 1 and a 2, but the 1 would have to be a good one, not a 30, so I think for the Bills, I keep mentioning that price. Rousseau is the key to it. To me, if Cleveland has no appetite for Rousseau because they don't want to pay him $22 to $25 million or whatever his valuation is on a new contract moving forward, I think I'm out because then I need to keep. I think I want to pay Rousseau and extend Rousseau, and I'm giving up more. I'm putting Rousseau in place of something else, another pick, and if I have to come up with even another second on top of 2 firsts. Holy cow. And I've got Rousseau. Rousseau might leave for nothing if I don't pay him. I mean, he's here this year on a 5th-year option. So, you could make it work with both of them, I suppose, for a year or even beyond. But I just like the idea of replacing him, even though he's younger. He's not as good. I don't think his arrow pointing up, however up you want Rousseau's arrow to be pointing, it does not reach Myles Garrett Defensive Player of the Year level. It just does not. So you're improving your team. You're paying a steep price. I can live with it. Where they are competitively right now, I could live with it. What am I going to do with the 30th pick? Try to draft an edge player to improve my pass rush? That's a good idea. How impactful is it going to be right now? Nowhere near as impactful as Myles Garrett.
Probably.
So it's it's a short-term thing, but boy, it's a way to cut to the front of the line real quick. They have not had. I don't think what Ross Tucker segment before last mentioned. The way he phrased it, like, I don't know if this is going to be offensive to Bills fans or to you guys, but talking with his buddy Greg Cosell, like the Bills don't have any guys, really. Well, the opposite, really. They don't have any studs. They have a bunch of guys. I think that's fair.
That's what I've been saying.
That's what they are. So if you think you need this player, this type of player, this is an opportunity to go make it happen. I mean, you're in tough. You're going to be drafting where you're drafting for the foreseeable future. So this is the way you got to do it.
The only counterpoint I have, I mean, it comes down to the cost, and maybe that's a reasonable price to pay and B, makeable offer. I just think it shields from the reality that I believe is the case. I believe it's the reality, and that's to this last point you made, that the Bills need a lot now. Like, this is the first time in these years where they have obvious positions of need. And at pick 30 or the second round, I can't assume, not you really never can, but I can't assume they'll fill those holes. Like they'll get a starting corner, defensive end is part of it. I think even offensive line could be brought up, even though their offensive line was really good, but nobody missed a game. Almost nobody missed a snap all year. Receiver is always one. Like they don't have that many great players, and the draft is how you fix that, and you have to get it right. And so the concept of Garrett undercuts that. Like, I can't have nearly as good of a chance at filling these holes if I'm going to trade draft picks for him and spend that money on him. So I'm not saying they necessarily shouldn't do it, and I think they probably will try. But I think they need several things, because I don't think this team is all set. They have Josh Allen, and defensively, just in terms of the defense, it's what? I mean, they got kind of blown up down the stretch. This December on in the playoffs too, they couldn't stop Kansas City. They couldn't stop Baltimore unless Baltimore gave the ball away. How are they going to address that? Does one player change that? At times it will. And he's great against the run, too. I mean, Garrett is not just one trick like Vaughn. So maybe. But that's my point, is it shields from – they do need to address several – like corner, they're at Benford. And, concussions. But still, he's probably fine and back.
Yeah.
Safety, they're kind of nowhere. Douglas maybe leaves.
I don't know about nowhere. I mean, they have a second-round pick from last year that's going to be a starter next year.
Okay. That's fine. That's fair.
They're not going for – they might need another guy back there. Sure.
That's right.
Part of my plan would be – I don't disagree mostly with any of that. But it's a pretty quick pivot. I trade for Myles Garrett. You know what I'm doing next? Seeing what it costs to keep Rasul Douglas. So I fill that hole, right? And again, the marketplace will dictate that to some extent. I'd like to get better there if I can, but if I get Myles Garrett, okay, I can wait on that. Right? I'll get by. I'm gonna play my game back here with what I've had mostly, but I'm adding that guy up front. That's my off-season plan. And I know that's a lot of plan to put in one box.
Now you're really pushing your chips into the olds.
Right.
Which, it is a team that you can justify it to be thinking in the short term. But last year they kind of gave themselves a little bit, they bought themselves some air last year, to breathe. And do they want to just suffocate it right back with Garrett and then Douglas and just veterans? I don't know. I don't know if I would. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog pregame for Sabers Blue Jackets at 6. This is WGR. First pregame coming up at the top of the hour, home to Columbus. They play next after tonight, Saturday night in Nashville, and then are off for 2 weeks. Sean is with us. Hi, Sean.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Bulldog, just wanted to add a little bit. You guys were talking about Philadelphia fans. I live in Philadelphia. It's a great city. I love the people here, but, man, it really needs to refine its relationship with professional sports. Eagles fans deserve all the scoring that they've garnered over the years. I'm a frequent patron of the Bills bar during games. There's always going to be a heckler there that just doesn't seem to be there for any other reason than cheer on whoever the Bills are playing against. And, you know, some of the really ugly stuff you see online is never really fun. And, you know, I talk to Eagles fans, and they always say, I'm so tired of people forwarding this narrative. And, you know, to that end, I'm always like, you know, we'll do something different, push another narrative. And, you know, it's never really met with anything other than a shrug. So, you know, that said, want to thank you guys for pulling us through this season. And looking forward to the off season. You guys put on a great program, full of laughs and great commentary. And I'll let you know if the city flips my car over and sets it on fire.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate the compliment. Look, any fan base has their issues. Violence, obnoxiousness, everything, including this one. I just don't think I've ever experienced a fan base that seems to lean into the negative as much as Philadelphia. Like, it's boastful, and I just think it's obnoxious.
I have been there a number of times, and I'll be there again in a month, and I love being there. It's always been so much fun. I've spent, each time I go, it's for a weekend, 2 nights out, and I love the people that I've interacted with in Philadelphia. But yes, online, the stadium, I'm not going to Eagles games when I'm there.
Right.
You know, or the Phillies even, because I'm going in March every year. But I have really enjoyed being there. I think it's a great city, but you can't, like you guys have both said it, it's hard to deny what you see. You know, the woman at the Packers-Eagles game just endured this abuse.
Yep.
It's always this way, though. It's one person,
right,
or small groups of people. They did have a jail. I have in the stadium. It is what it is. I have a friend there who's been there for many years, and he just goes crazy when anybody mentions they're booing Santa. Like the Phillies fans or whoever it was booing Santa, the one, probably Eagles, right?
Eagles, yeah.
It was
Christmas
winter.
time, yeah.
And he's like so exasperated by like this. But, you know, we have that stuff, you know, it happened.
Right.
I am somebody who cheers Santa.
Generally speaking, I would, I'm
a Santa guy.
At worst, I'm neutral.
At worst, I'm a Santa guy.
Yeah.
So that one, I do take that personally.
Would you go so far as to say you're a big Santa guy?
I'm a pretty big Santa guy.
Yeah.
I mean, what has he ever done? Somebody's like...
Some questions are better left unanswered.
Somebody's like, well, it's cheap. You roll Santa out. You're just trying to get us to not boo. Well, guess what?
You're in Philadelphia now.
Guess what? I'm going to boo anyway. Nice try. Sabers pregame with Paul next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
We know you can't